everyone. This is Radul Live. Thanks for joining us. Now, I know most of the time we're talking about rugby, football, athletics. Today, we're going to talk about lacrosse. And this is the first time I'm doing lacrosse. And yes, I am as green as you. So hopefully by the end of this show, we'll know a lot more about the sport of lacrosse and its presence in Kenya. Joining me is Storm Trentham, who founded Lacrosse in Kenya, and you'll tell me a bit about that, and Susan Kapting'ei, who is a player, and not a player, a player. And she'll tell us more about that. Storm, let me start with you. First of all, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I know you don't live in Kenya, so it's been a bit of a gamble trying to get you on the show. But tell me about the entry of lacrosse in Kenya, because it started with you.
Yeah, so I started playing lacrosse when I was 11 over in the UK at boarding school. And when I was at university, when I was around 19, I started playing for Wales. So 15 years later, I decided that I was sort of done with playing. And in the meantime, I was coaching the Welsh under-19 teams. So I coached them at 2 World Cups. I was manager at 1. I was assistant coach for the senior women's when I gave up. So I've been involved with it heavily for quite a long time. And I've been coming out to Kenya since 2007 with a sports charity. And what I found was there was loads of sports for all the boys. We were based in Mumias over at Western, and all the boys at schools had football and rugby and everything, and the girls were just sat on the sidelines, not doing very much. So I thought, okay, this better change.
Waiting for the boys.
Yeah, pretty much. Either waiting for the boys or wanting to play sports. So hopefully it was wanting
to play sports.
Yes. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm still currently heavily involved with Wales, but I can still bring sticks out, and I was still playing internationals then. And lots of my friends at school, at uni, and my teammates had loads of spare sticks that they donated so I could bring them out. So I came out in 2009, again, just Western way. And originally, it was just for the girls, and that's not being sexist, but I thought, well, I play women's lacrosse.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you can't, do it all in one day. So it was really just for the girls to start with. And fast forward to the 2015 World Cup, where I was head coach for Wales, I knew that would be my last World Cup. So as I walked into the closing ceremony, I was like, okay, I've got like 1 more hour of lacrosse, and then I get my weekends back. I can go to my friends' weddings and parties and holidays, everything that I missed for like 15 years. And as I walked out the closing, I actually won an award at the World Cup at the closing ceremony for my contribution to lacrosse in Africa. And then I thought I really hadn't done very much at all. But as I walked out, it was a light bulb moment that lacrosse and sport, international sport, is such an amazing thing, and not everyone can be part of it. And don't sort of take for granted, going to World Cups, travelling, meeting all these people, going to Europeans. So I got home the next day, and rightly or wrongly, I put on Facebook, who thinks I should try and get the first African team to World Championships in 4 years' time in Canada? So I did that, put it on Facebook. This is where social media is. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I woke up the next day and there was honestly 400, 500, 600 likes, comments, shares, notifications. So I was like, Christ, I can't retract it. I can delete it. I don't think you could delete anything there.
Put it out there. Just
put it out there. And the rest is history. So I can, not stick to what I had said. And we spent the next 4 years, which was pretty tough.
Why Kenya?
As I said, I was just involved with the charity over here. Since I was really young, I always wanted to work in Africa, and always in a sports capacity. And so through the nature of the charity that I was working with, that's why I sort of ended up here. And so I'm sort of going to and from the UK and here.
There's also the question of why not?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me bring Susan Kapting'ei into the conversation. Susan.
Yes.
Lacrosse, of all sports, I know you started off playing a different sport. What made you transition? Tell me about that.
Okay, we were playing basketball. Then one day, certain coach was scouting for more players for lacrosse. He came by and met our coach, Moses Muge, and asked him, I need some players who can learn this game and play lacrosse. We are aiming for the World Cup and many more. We got interested because you are fit, and the World Cup was almost near. It was 9 months too.
Wow.
So and maybe the players who are there, maybe they had not gotten the drill so much. Now the coach was like, I need those who are kind of fit and ready just to learn it the little they can. So we didn't hesitate. Who doesn't want to go abroad?
Why not?
Yeah, so we joined, and as a whole basketball team, we just
transitioned?
Yes.
So we had
The starting
basketball players
5.
from Moy Girls.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just transitioned from there to lacrosse. We started learning step by step. Yeah. That's how it
Let me
goes.
take you 2 steps back.
Okay.
Explain, Storm,
Mhm.
in a nutshell, how lacrosse is played.
Okay,
That's how basic we need to get.
Okay, basic. So, well, some of you may have seen it on American films. It's very often American films. So it's a stick with a net on the end, and there's 10 players per team. The pitch is up to it can be give or take, but maximum size is a rugby pitch. So girls have to be pretty fit, pretty fast.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's quite big, yeah. And then there's a goal at the end, which is 6 foot by 6, and you just got to shoot into the goal.
So you catch the ball.
You catch in the air, run
with the hand
with the net. Yeah.
And then throw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either run with it, throw it. It's a bit like hockey in the air.
Oh, you can run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely
But
have to run
then
with
you
it.
can be tackled.
Yeah.
Yes. So you hit the stick, and you hit the stick down. I mean, there's a lot of rules to lacrosse because it's quite dangerous. Hit the stick down, ball goes on the floor, and then it's 50-50 who's going to get it. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, confession. I've never seen lacrosse being played until you sent me some YouTube links. And then I managed to figure out a little bit. But I'm sure a lot of people watching have never seen the lacrosse being played. When you decided you're coming to Kenya, how did you then get into the system, so to speak? Because I imagine there wasn't a federation, there wasn't a management team, there wasn't the network or infrastructure.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty tough, I'm not going to lie, because obviously if no one's played the sport in the country, you can't find coaches. So I brought, every time I would come out every half term, because I was a teacher at the time, so every half term holidays I would bring out sort of between 5 and 25 volunteer coaches from America, Australia, the UK, that would all come and help at the camps and help coach the girls. So from that, one or two of them stayed with me. They were really keen. Most coaches actually came back multiple times because they just fell in love with the country, the kids, and they couldn't believe, how incredible they were off the back of. I mean, you'll hear more about Sue's story, but she had only played 9 months. So my manager was from the UK, but we got Uganda actually started lacrosse slightly before us, and they have a men's team that went to the World Cup 2014 and 18. So we brought over 2 of their coaches to help, and we had an SSC coach that was a rugby player over in Mumias, and we sort of just mixed it all together, and that was that. So our management team was 6 of us, but 2 from the UK.
So how do you then get the link of, because I know now there's a federation, so how does that happen, and then you're the national team, because you can't just take people to the World Cup. Sure. It has to be under the structure.
Yeah, exactly. So we weren't registered at the time because obviously I can't register as a sport not being Kenyan, and we have gone through quite a few challenges, so there wasn't actually anyone, which is a massive understatement. So it was really hard to work out who was going to register it for me, because obviously you need the right people in the right places. So World Lacrosse recognised us as Kenya Lacrosse Association, even though we weren't registered with the ministry. Since then, a different group have gone and registered the sport.
So it's a different group?
Yeah, the Kenya Lacrosse Federation is nothing to do with me. So there's quite a lot of politics to it, but they're
we're
not
a special country. We're such a special country.
So it's quite tough, but
and I don't mean that in a nice way, sorry.
We went through the Ministry of Education because they were under 19, so we went through the Ministry of Education eventually, and that's how we got to the World Cup.
So you've given yourself the challenge, 4 years, you land. As we have seen, you don't, there's no real team.
No.
What's the link with basketball? Why do you think basketball has caught it on so much? And I'll ask you the same question.
I think there's a lot of transferable skills with basketball to lacrosse. So when you see lacrosse, you'll see that there's quite a few similar aspects to the game. But I mean, these girls, I know their basketball team was pretty handy at nationals and everything. So it's quite easy when you've got athletes that are really smart. I mean, they're all straight A students. So really smart, really athletic, love sport, and just so fit and focused. It was, it was actually quite easy to switch them into lacrosse players, and I know she's now gone back to basketball for a bit, and she's captaining her university. But
let's talk about that. I just want to ask you to move your hair a little bit because it's rubbing on the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
And we just want to get a clear sound. Let me ask you the same question. You're a basketballer. Yes. You're trying a different sport. I know they say once you're a sports person, you're a sports person, but the techniques are different, the rules are different, and you had 9 months. What was that like?
Okay. The only difference that was there, it was not so hard to transition from basketball to lacrosse because their plays is almost the same. The only thing that was different is this skill now you have to learn to catch and pass. That's the only thing that you needed.
I'm going to ask you to move your hair like
Okay.
this. Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
The only skill you wanted to learn is the catch and pass drill. But the rest now, the fakes, the plays, it's all in basketball.
It's very similar.
Yeah, so there's nothing there. And also that you can run while, you know, we are used to dribbling and stuff. But now this one, you have a stick, and then when the whistle blows, you have to stop. You don't move. Basketball, you can move and make some adjustment. But with lacrosse, now that was the difficult part. We got some fouls there in World Cup, yeah.
You baptism of fire. What was the World Cup experience like, both in preparation? I'll ask you about in preparation, then I'll ask you about in play, because you need to get the funding, you need to get the permissions. And
so because we weren't registered, myself and my friends, family, and everyone that was following us on our social media, we had to find 25 million shillings to go to the World Cup. Yeah. So that was extremely hard. We managed to do it. And a lot of our kids, not necessarily Sue and her friends from Moy, but a lot were from really disadvantaged backgrounds. So apart from the World Cup side and lacrosse side of things, we also had to help with school fees, and there were a lot of players that were ill. So we used to have our camps down in Nakuru, and we used to have 3, 4, 5 girls every camp that would have malaria. So, you know, I don't know that much about malaria, but I was like, is it our camp? Is it in Nakuru? Like, why are all these kids getting malaria? And unfortunately, the issue was they're from such deprived backgrounds that they would have had malaria for weeks, days, but because they couldn't afford to obviously go to hospital, they would wait until they came to camp because they knew that we couldn't leave them like that. So, I mean, it was a struggle. It was very expensive. The main issue was in February before the World Cup, which was in July, the Western government banned lacrosse because they said that I had to bring 4 government officials to every camp, for every day, pay them 11,000 shillings. So, yeah, I know that was slightly taxing. So, and I knew that was not right, but maybe because I'm a Westerner and a foreigner and a female, they thought that potentially this might be a way that they could sort of almost hold us hostage, because we had to have that camp in February because the World Cup's so soon and no one had passports and visas, and you know how long everything takes. So anyway, so they banned the sport in February. So actually we didn't do our last trials till April. And I had to go to Jogo House and have meetings, and yeah, it was.
We really are our own worst enemies. I mean, here is a sport, the Kenyans playing, Kenyans getting opportunities, but we just want to make it hard. I don't know if we wake up and say, today my job is to spoil the sports industry. Somebody somewhere says that.
Yeah, and then, you know, part of the budget, we had to take 4 government officials, and I don't know if you've ever seen the per diem, depending which country teams are travelling to, but for Canada it was $1,011 a day. Yeah, and I've still got the documents, and it's like so eye-watering and depressing, and so this was one of the arguments that I refused to take 4 government officials, because I can't ask, you know, donors, kind donors from around the world to be spending, I think I worked it out, that was 11 million shillings on government officials. So obviously I refused, because that's just not okay. And so this is why we had a lot of roadblocks. And so we only actually got our visas the day before we were supposed to fly, because everything was, you know, put back so much, because it took so long to pick the team.
My blood is actually boiling right now.
There's so much more, but obviously I'm not sure I can really say it, because I want to come back to take the boys to Ireland, so I need to sort of be...
You need to be nice.
Yeah, I need to...
Oh, I never play nice. I mean, you're
maybe part 2.
Doing a job we should be doing. The government should be taking the lead in making sure the national team is prepared for a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we weren't registered with the Ministry of Sport, it was slightly different, but as I said, it was all legal. We went through the Ministry of Education. But the upsetting thing is, as you know, we were just trying to, get the kids to the World Cup, but also there were so many issues outside of the sport with, as I was saying, their health, their education, and so many other things. So there was a lot more money that we were spending out of a pot that we didn't even have. So, and when myself and volunteers are coming over, because we're all volunteers, you don't get paid to coach international lacrosse. Well, lacrosse you don't. No one gets paid. And even if you play for any other country apart from Kenya, if you're in the team for the World Cup, whether you're Australian, English, Welsh, you have to pay to go to the World Cup. So it's like $3,000-$4,000, and if you can't afford it, you just can't go. So the irony that Kenya is 100% funded by, you know, well-wishers, and then we're having all this extra expenditure on top.
Yeah. Expenditure.
And, you know, then I was just flying back and forth, but I did move to Kenya for the last 6 months I left my job at home just to try and sort all of it out. Because, you know, getting one passport is tough when kids don't have birth certificates. Then we had a lot of fake birth certificates, and we had a lot of issues with our passports. So yeah, it's
something the government should actually step forward and say, you know what, you're taking our sports people. Let's make it easy on
yeah.
Let's make the processes. We'll put a pause on those domains. Trust me, I'll pick them up on a later date because this is. I'm getting a really bad feeling. Let me talk to you. You're going for the World Cup. First of all, how did you feel? Because it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, it really felt nice since I'd never boarded a plane before. And here comes our mom. We call her our mom because she really took care of us. And we still thank you for that. Yes, it was the best feeling ever because even going to get those passports, you could go to Kisumu, Nairobi. Now we get that break from school. We break the monotony of all the studying, yeah. The experience out there, we met people who are really so friendly, kind. We got one person who owns that house, the movie Cheaper by a Dozen. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So we had a mess with our, I'll just interrupt you for 2 seconds to explain why we ended up at this incredible house. So we were leaving on Monday morning. Friday afternoon we got our visas, so that was like relief. Whilst we're getting our visas, or the good news was coming, I was like stressing about 89 other things, so I wasn't actually that excited. But, well I was, but you know, there were so many other things to worry about. And I get an email from the university in Canada who's supposed to be hosting us for free. They'd said since January, hosting us, transport, food, accommodation, everything. And they emailed me going, oh, I'm really sorry, we can't host you for Monday. And I'm like, we have no money. We've got a travelling party of 28 people, and we're flying Monday and we're coming a week early. But no, 10 days early, I think, wasn't it? Because we had to play practice games, because they'd only played 2 games in their whole lives, and they played 2 games against the boys' team, because there's no one in Kenya to play, so obviously you had to go early to play games. And luckily, we had this documentary done on us called Sleeping Warrior, and one of the film producers of that owned a pretty special house on an island, half an hour from where the World Cup was. So she was like, I'll host you all for the first 5 days. I'm not sure how it's going to go, so let me find one of my friends to host you for the next 5. So we stayed at this island on the first 5 days, all the kids getting like on speedboats and, you know, having such a good time. And like local people around the island would jet ski all our food in, because, you know, we can't expect one lady to cook 3 meals a day for 28 of us or whatever. So then her friend said she would take us for the next 5 days, and she happened to own the house, so Sleeping by the Dozen too. Oh. So if you haven't seen that film, go and see it, because it's the most incredible house. So these girls go from, you know, all these dramas, and trust me, behind the scenes, there were dramas with the management every single day. So the players were blissfully unaware, which is what obviously you want.
That's what, they have to focus.
Yeah, they have to, you know, and they don't need to know the politics going on behind the scenes. But yeah, so I think that was a massive highlight for the kids. Obviously, getting on the plane, and even before the World Cup, you know, spending time in this house and just being looked after by all the kids.
It's massive exposure that helps you to see life differently and see opportunities that could be out there.
Yes.
How did it affect you as an individual?
First of all, let me start from outside sports. The fact that the environment was so clean, which I would like, like I would appreciate.
Should be basic, but isn't.
Yeah, love that environment was so conducive. And then when we get to sports, we got to expose how people value the sport itself. Actually, they get up in the morning, they are trained, they have even buses to take them places of training. Like, they're so organized compared to us. Now we were depending on only Storm, looking out for Storm. Even if you see basketball, it's not that well organized as much as them. Even if it's a small sport, they'll still value it, which I would really like. Even Kenya,
how sport should be run and how athletes
and
should
they
be
appreciate
managed.
and they appreciate each and every player. They don't just say you've done this once and they just let you go like that. At least they'll follow up, and then you're being brought up as another country.
Let's get to the actual World Cup.
Yes.
You're playing your first game in lacrosse.
Our first game was against China. It was really competitive. It's our first experience. We are the first time on the field of lacrosse, real competition. You know, our tournament that we had was with Uganda girls and the boys
The
team.
boys from Makuru that we
Yeah.
have to bring
So
down.
we didn't have this much with the pressure, people watching all over. Now everyone is around just watching, and there are no African faces so much. It was just now more of whites watching us.
Like,
Now
where am
we are
I?
on the spot. Yeah, we were the darlings for Canada because they loved us so much. They supported us in each and every way. So our first game we lost 16-10. 16-10. We didn't have cleats. We were wearing the normal sport shoes, which are not the right for that sport. We needed the cleats. And it was kind of drizzling, so the turf was kind of wet. So we could slide. We had so much challenges. Someone had to take off her shoes in between because she could not keep up with the sport shoes. And then we had these our Israeli girls, like they were our best friends apart from Puerto Rico. They were really our best friends. So they bought us shoes before we
I
played.
think I saw
them.
that on one of the YouTube links you
Yeah,
sent.
they
So the
bought us
Israelis stepped up and
cleats.
gave you cleats.
Yes.
We did actually go with cleats, but we got
They are
them
not
donated by
fitting,
New
yeah.
Balance, who unfortunately got the sizes wrong.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue came.
Oops.
Like, we weren't going to a World Cup without cleats, but it was just the nature of
Fate.
Yeah, and we couldn't get them sent here first because of shipping and customs and all that headache. So we just got them sent straight to Canada, and unfortunately there was a bit of a hiccup. So
Yeah.
that's where that came in.
Yeah, out of all the 8 games, we at least won 3.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
yeah, being our first time, it was a highlight was the one we played against Germany, which we scored 17-1.
Wow.
Jamaica.
Oh, Jamaica.
Jamaica,
Oh,
we won 17-1.
Jamaica. But for Germany, it's among the top country with best lacrosse, but we managed to contain them. We lost 7-6. 7-6. Yeah, the scores were 7-6. Yeah.
So what's your future in, because I want us to go to a break, but I know you're not coming back after the break. We're going to
Yes.
have another player back. What's your future in lacrosse? Because I know you've gone back to basketball, but you still want to go to another World Cup.
Yeah. First of all, something I did not mention, we had 4 MVPs in our team. That was Flora, Milo, Lina, and I.
Well done.
Thank you. And I managed to be ranked number 13 in the World Cup.
Wow.
As one of the best players.
For her points, so point scoring, so assisting goals
Yeah.
and scoring goals.
Yeah.
So bearing in mind she'd only played for 9 months and she was number 13, and number 1 to 12 were all American, who played since they were like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Future
So this is why it's so frustrating, because you're so talented, yet there's so many roadblocks. that-
Yeah.
What happens?
so much.
What would happen if
If
she
you
was
played like
trained,
normal, yeah.
played regularly, played international friendlies, had all the facilities and the kit and... Wow. So when's the next World Cup? And are we going?
It's next week for the senior women. No, we're not going because we've got the boys
Men.
and I can't raise 50 plus million shillings
Yeah.
for 1 year, which is a real shame because these girls would have, you know, they really did so well having played for 30 seconds. And yeah, they did really well. We've actually got one girl that got a scholarship to Utah. So she's on a lacrosse scholarship doing civil engineering for 5 years. And one thing that I don't know, Sue doesn't know because she wasn't at school then, but one of the Canadian parents, like everyone loved the Kenya team, as Sue said, we're the only African team, we're the darlings of the World Cup. If you've seen Cool Runnings, the film, which not many Kenyans have, which is really frustrating, because I always compare the girls to Cool Runnings. So one of the Canadian parents messaged me 2 days after I got back saying, how can I help the lacrosse program? And I was like, first and foremost, I have 8 kids still in school that are like they need to go back to school next week or whenever it was. And so he was like, work out how much they need to finish Form 1, 2, 3, 4, depending where they're at, and I'll see what I can do. And so I told him, and next day we had quite a lot of $1,000 in our account to pay for every kid to finish school. Wow. So like so much has come from it, and we've had loads of support with volunteers to help with other school fees, hospital fees, university, you know, if they need laptops and everything. So it's just frustrating when you're having to pay extra for things that shouldn't be in the equation when all you're trying to do is help these kids. That's all you're trying to do. But
I can sense the frustration, and we won't let that conversation end with this show. But I need to let you go. What are your hopes and dreams in lacrosse?
I hope just that Kenya will bring lacrosse to spotlight and invest in it. It's a really good sport. Yeah, I would really love that. And in case we won't, maybe by the time it's brought to spotlight, maybe by then we will not be able to play it. At least we'll be coaches. We'll coach if that's at the least we could.
And spread the word. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm imagining if you're not training the national team, is there like a league or a...
Not yet, because
we'll have to be
there's no
introduced to
regular
universities.
play.
and yeah, the equipment sticks are
Yeah.
an average of like 12,000 to 30,000 shillings for one stick.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one of the difficulties, but we'll sort that out.
All right. All right. Well, I wish you all the best, Susan.
Thank you.
National team player for lacrosse. She'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to have one of the male players joining us, and as you continue the conversation on lacrosse. But I wish you the best, my dear. The sky's the limit.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys after the break. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with Radul Live. Yesterday we were talking about lacrosse, a new-ish sport in Kenya. Not that new, but new to those of us who are learning about it for the first time. Shame on me. Before the break, of course, we had Susan here, and Susan was telling us how she went to the World Cup and what an experience that was. We are back with the Storm Trentham.
It's close, that's fine.
That's
Close enough.
And David Wafula. David, thanks for joining us. You are a male player. We've talked to the women. We've seen how the women have shone. And I know, Storm, you said you were starting with the women and then going to the men. First of all, before David tells us about how he got into lacrosse, how did you then decide, okay, the women are okay, let me try and branch out?
I've been working with some of the lacrosse boys in Makuru, so we have a group training in Makuru, quite a large 60, 80 group of kids, and I've been going to and from since about 2014, 15, and you know, when the boys came to play the girls, I just thought they need the same opportunities the girls got, and these boys are like super talented, really, really talented. So I just thought it was another opportunity to showcase how incredible Kenyan and African athletes are on a lacrosse pitch, because you never ever see them on a lacrosse pitch outside of Africa.
The opportunity's never been there, so thanks for bringing that in. Davis, how did you get into lacrosse?
So the first time I got into lacrosse, I was in Mukuru visiting my friend. So I went to a place called Mikato. There is I don't know if you know Mukuru slums.
I know Mukuru slums, I don't know Mikato.
There is an area.
I can't find it.
Yeah, there is an area called Mikato. So I went there and I saw some guys with sticks just playing randomly. There is no coach, no one. And a friend of mine told me that you can join this game. And that's how I started playing lacrosse at that moment.
You just tried it and you could.
Yeah, and I failed in the process.
How then did this happen? How did he get recruited into? How did you find out about Storm and the program she was running?
So as Storm said, she used to come to Mukuru, visiting Mukuru. So there is a day, I had stayed in Mukuru without eating anything, and I saw Storm. She was walking by, talking to some guys there. Then I went to Storm straight and told her, Storm, I want to talk to you. And she told me, just give me a minute. Then she came to me and asked me what's wrong. And I told her, hey, I'm coming from Kawangware on a daily basis, just running around 42 kilometers to here. And I haven't had anything. And now, hey. Ja. Huh? I'm not okay. And she told me, how can I help you? And I told her, you can just buy for me food and anything. And that's when she started like, now, where is Davis? I haven't seen Davis. That's when now we started talking to Storm. She really now started telling me that, Davis, you can do it. So she became my friend. We started talking, and then she told me, now I want you to take lacrosse to the next level, because there is no coach and you have the idea. What can we do? So I mobilized the guys. I called all the team and I told them, now guys, we have someone who wants to really to help us. What can we do? So I formed a team there, and she came out, talked to the guys, and she has been really supportive to the team up to now.
So how do you manage that, Storm? You've got your hands full with the girls. Here you're identifying a club that has talent.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty difficult. You have to find the right people. I mean, as I said, there's not many people that could coach the sport. So the ones that you can find, you have to like really look after, because they're like gold dust for us. So we have 3 in Mumias, but Davis is the only one up in Nairobi. So he's really got his work cut out. It's like I've got the easy job. I just have to, facilitate what he needs. And he's one of the 5 paid coaches for Kenya Lacrosse. So at least.
Also, you've graduated to coaching now.
Yeah, so he's now a coach for the kids in Mukuru, as well as one of the captains for the under-21 team.
Is that formal training, formal coaching training, or how does it work? Or it's just that you can play and now you're sharing your knowledge?
Yeah, because they're younger kids, so there's a lot of young ones. So, Davis, you can explain how many kids you have and how often you coach them.
For me, like I have right now close to 80 kids.
80?
Yeah.
Who play lacrosse?
Yeah.
In Mukuru?
Yeah.
Wow! And I've never heard about it. Shame on me.
You have to come and join one of his sessions.
Yeah. So
I do. I need to learn how it's played. At least know the rules. So how does that work? You go into the homes. How have the kids suddenly warmed up to this? Because if they're playing football or a different sport, it's normal. That's in every estate. But to have 80 children in Mukuru playing lacrosse,
yeah.
How did you introduce it to them?
So it happens that when I started lacrosse with Storm, there are some things in the slum that do happen. You see kids just lying on the field doing nothing. So I went to a certain school called Kwajenga Primary School, and I talked to the headmistress there, and she told me, now if you want a team, it depends with how you will speak with the kids. So she gave me the permission to go to the classes. So I spoke to some kids and they agreed. So the first time they came to the field, I had like 30. But when you start the training, it will be fun. But as days goes by, you see, 15. So I was like, what's happening here? So I went back to the school then. She told me, go back to the classes again. And then I called the kids, they came out, we started training, the numbers started increasing on a daily basis. But now I came to understand what was happening there. So for me, I'm training them lacrosse, but apart from lacrosse, I'm using that lacrosse like a rehab for those kids, for those guys, because they are in the same place. Most of the guys have been in the same area that I was in back then. So I use it like a rehab. Apart from training lacrosse, we sit down, we like chat, you listen to that person, they tell you the frustration they are going through. Like now you start to listen to them, you encourage them, they say that let's do this. And lacrosse, it's like a family in Mukuru. So if you want to find now you are looking for Storm, you just need to ask one of the kids, where is Storm? She will tell you where is Storm.
So it's like because that area, people are going through human problems and human challenges, maybe broken homes or living in the streets, or so players are disappearing from the program and you don't even know why.
Why? So you need to look for that guy.
Yeah, but then that's a fantastic program. Do you have a name for it? Does it have?
Yeah, there is Mukuru Lions.
Mukuru Lions.
Yeah.
Wow, because what I'm hearing is like probably what Maisa does in Madari, where the sport is used sort of as an outreach program.
Yeah.
And have you seen the change in some of these children?
yeah, a massive change. Massive change because, like, I'll take an example of there is a certain guy who was using drugs, really like he was addicted, but right now he has changed himself, reformed, and he's coming back also to give back to those young souls out there. So it depends with how you speak to these people, and it depends, they don't like require us like financial support each and every time. They just need that listening ear from that person, just to listen to that
They
guy.
need to know that someone cares.
Cares, yeah, that love.
And the level of talent that's coming out?
How many of the Makuru boys are going to the World Cup? I think there's eight.
Eight
From
of
Makuru
them
are going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So they're going to this World Cup that's next
Yes,
week?
the
Yeah.
under 21 men's World Cup is 10th of August.
Ah,
And there's 8 from Makuru, so that's
wow.
pretty special. But I mean, what he's talking about, the family. So was it back in December or November when Makuru, a lot of their houses were demolished? Do you remember when all the houses were demolished? So, obviously Davis gets in touch saying most of the kids' houses have been demolished. So, lacrosse is really not just about the sports side of things. It's about the athletes, they're humans first, make sure their needs are there. So we've had so much support from friends and family and random supporters around the world that just love Kenya lacrosse. So when they saw what's going on in Makuru and they saw that on our socials, we got influx of how can we help. So I think we got about $5,000 in 24 hours to help these kids. So Davis had his work cut out. He had to go and find which kids had their houses demolished. I think there was 19 families in total. So he found them all houses. We gave them 2-3 months rent. We gave them food. And then we gave all the other kids who were okay, we had to give them food because, they still need food. They've got a house. But, the type of backgrounds that these kids are coming from is pretty rough.
Because if you don't solve the life problems, they will never focus on the sport.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
Wow, I didn't even know such a program exists.
It's there.
What?
I mean, as I said, we want to grow it, but it's the equipment that's the issue, getting it into the country and, finding enough coaches. Now we have enough coaches because we've got a lot of the under 21 boys can coach the junior kids and the girls can coach, but it's just getting all the sticks from around the world. Pretty much we get donations from Australia, from America, from the UK, but just flying it out here, as we know, it's just a lot to fly it out here.
Government taxes.
Excess luggage is $200 a bag alone, and then you've got customs and everything else, so it's just tough.
Wow.
It's tough, but we want to give hundreds more kids lacrosse sticks. I mean, he's got loads more he can get, but we've only got a certain amount of equipment at the moment. But you got
that's one
all
of the
the
biggest
talent.
Challenges.
Yeah.
What preparation is in place for the World Cup?
We've got an American coach and 2 assistant coaches that coach the boys team because the rules are totally different. So originally I was coaching because I used to coach a men's university team at home. So I was coaching, but then I was like, do you know what?
I'm in over my head.
I've got 2 companies to run. I've now got a child. I've got this, and let me just sort out all the dramas behind the scenes, and I'll let these wonderful coaches from the States come and coach. So they've been coaching them at Kenton College in Upper Hill. So the principal there used to be an England lacrosse player, so she's come in so handy, and she very kindly gives us the facilities for free, and we just pay a very minimal amount for food, which she always tops up anyway because she just loves the kids. So we've been training there, and we fly on the 8th. We're supposed to fly on the 1st to play practice games, but it was going to be like another 2 million shillings that we don't have. So it's sort of catch-22. The boys need practice games because you can't spend all of this money and not have enough practice, and then go and play your first game against, I think you're playing Poland
Established
first.
nation.
Yeah, and then, but equally, if we don't have the money, we don't have the money, and myself and the other management, it really comes down to what money we can get, and we can't be taking out more loans and more this and more that.
No, because they'll catch up with you. What's the level of competition in the region and on the continent? Do you qualify for the World Cup, or how does it work?
Not at the moment, because lacrosse wasn't big enough. This is the last World Cup that you don't have to qualify. So for the men's World Cup next year, the seniors, we have to qualify. So we have to play Uganda and probably Ghana. So we got Uganda, Ghana, Rwanda, Nigeria and South Africa that play, but it's only Uganda and Kenya that are members of World Lacrosse. And the others I'm sure they'll be in the next couple of years, but they won't be ready for the next World Cup. So basically we have to beat Uganda in October for the senior men to go to the World Cup.
What are our chances?
It's fine, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. I mean, if the girls went for the World Cup after 9 months and won
3 out of 8.
3 out of 8 games, I think that's a very good record.
And I think, I mean, the girls were brilliant and they did really, really well. But I think there's a big difference between apart from actually, the girl we had on yesterday, apart from Sue and a couple of the others who are really competitive. The other girls on the team were brilliant, but they're quite, girly and this is this. Whereas these boys from Makuru are ruthless. Like men's lacrosse is full contact, so you have all the helmets, the pads, everything. But in Makuru, they only sometimes play with the padding. So these boys, and some of them are really small. We're talking, some kids are like 50 kilos. Some of the kids coming to the World Cup, whereas the Americans and the likes that we'll be playing against are a good 70, 80, 90, because they've been doing weights from about 11 years old. So, but our boys are so robust, and I see them get hit and they don't flinch. Literally don't flinch, and they've been absolutely smashed because you can hit with your stick and everything. And they're really robust. So I feel that they should win at least half their games. Yeah. I feel, and we might get 1 or 2 scholarships, I think, to the States.
For first World Cup, I mean, that would be impressive.
Yeah.
Just that you've gone and got the exposure, it takes the sport forward. What are your hopes and dreams, Davis, for lacrosse? And for your kids? Can I call them your kids? Because they're yours.
For me personally, my dreams are to see this game growing in Kenya and to see getting that support to support those kids. But we need to have the right people
managing the sport.
Managing the sport, because most of the people there, you can see someone coming, hey, this is a new sport, it's a good sport. He comes there, but he's looking for an opportunity to do his own things there. So
sadly, the story of our sport.
Yeah, but for me, I believe one day this sport will be known in Kenya like the other sports. Yeah.
And it will happen. What has it done to you on a personal level, from someone who just wanted a meal
for me
to now I imagine you're earning a living?
Yeah. For me, lacrosse has changed my life. So as I said, I used lacrosse as my also rehab, because I passed through a lot. I was just a street guy here in Kawangware for around 4 years. Then went back to Mukuru. That's when I met like those guys of lacrosse and growing there. But it changed me from the Davis I was to now the Davis I am today. And for me, I believe that it's going to change more lives out there, because guys out there, they believe that when you come from the slum, you are that guy. Yeah, you see, guys don't want
to offer.
You have nothing, but people are talented out there.
They just need the opportunity.
They just need that opportunity. If you give a lacrosse, like any guy from the slum, that opportunity, hey, he will utilize that opportunity accordingly. So me, I believe in those guys. I believe in myself. I believe in Storm, and most I believe in God.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm inspired. I'm actually inspired by Davis' story, and I think when I find time, I'll come down with a camera and we can take some images of these children in training. Because we have to have a long conversation, Storm. This is the tip of the iceberg. But I want to thank you guys for coming today. Yeah. Davis, I wish you and your kids all the best.
Thank you.
We'll try and just get the story out that lacrosse is up and running.
Yeah.
And then we will discuss privately what to do with all these federations and these officials who just want money. They make me sick, I'm sorry. They make me sick, and I don't have to be politically correct.
I won't be once we've got them out to Ireland. When we get back from Ireland, I can say whatever. Let's just get them to Ireland.
When are the dates again?
10th, we hopefully will fly on the 7th, so it's 10th to 20th of August.
10th to the 20th of August.
Yeah.
Right before elections.
Yeah, so we'll get out for elections, but we still have 19 passports and 26 visas to go. And 7 million shillings.
Deficit.
Yeah.
Woo! If you want to help out lacrosse, guys, step up and do so, because this program is changing lives. Today, for me, is the beginning of the conversation about lacrosse in Kenya. And I just want to say thank you, Storm.
Thank you for having us.
Great job you're doing. Fantastic job you're doing, Davis. You know, there's
Thank you.
nothing like getting yourself out of a tight spot and then spreading it to other people, you know, because then they will spread it and spreading that. That's how you change the world.
Yeah.
That's how you change the world. It's been fantastic, guys. Davis Wafula. Earlier we had Susan Kapting'ei, yes, and then Storm Trentham. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you guys have learned a thing or two about lacrosse. And now, when you see them, you can cheer them because you know what they're about. And they go to the World Cup, you know. If this was another mainstream sport, we'd be yelling about it. But we're not. So we also have a lot to learn as fans. But thank you for watching Radul Live. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.